Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a good day so far. My name is Martin Scholz from Cumulocity. We are an IoT platform provider, and I'm leading the business development team on our side. And therefore, I'm today on the stage on presenting a quick use case and a quick business case on Flexco's journey into the cloud. So that's a customer of us. And today I want to talk about how we help them to leverage efficiencies on their side. So did you know that carryback is a hidden efficiency killer for belt manufacturers like Flexco? Why? Because you do have all the different kinds of stones or sands which are coming out of a mill directly on the conveyor belt, and a lot of this material is always dropping down. And of course, you have to clean the belt in every cycle. You have to clean the belt again to be really optimized on carrying the load on the belt for the next stage. So why is it a hidden efficiency killer? Because you can, of course, lose the material on the belt, and there we are helping with Cumulocity by making the machine data available and then leverage efficiencies on the conveyor belt. So we try and we help them to optimize performance. So I do have some numbers today with me, which I can present, and that's how we helped Flexco on their journey into the cloud, and that's how we also help them on bringing the business case to the management. So we are a platform for asset management. We also have a booth here on the AWS booth today, but we also have a booth back in the hall and over there for Cumulocity, where we then also talk about asset management and also how to manage different kind of devices, where we do have our core capabilities of our platform. Today I want to talk about the usability. And before that, I want to quickly start a video which is showing how we then helped Flexco together with a partner, TwistSync, on leverage their efficiencies. So Flexco is the manufacturer of such conveyor belts in mills and mining fields, and they are now installing such devices which were developed together with our partner TwistSync. TwistSync is also here at the booth, and these are the devices which are then designed by TwistSync and which are connected to our IoT platform Cumulocity. Here you can see a dashboard where the service engineer on the site can see the condition of the conveyor belt, and where they can also monitor the actual state of material which is transported from the mill to the end. And here you can see the plates which are then responsible for cleaning the conveyor belt on each cycle. And as you can imagine, since we are working with stone, with sand, there's a lot of abrasion there, and therefore you have to replace those plates constantly in cycles. Otherwise, the conveyor belt will stop working at some point, and you have to replace everything from the scratch. And such IS3 devices, as Flexco is calling them, they are installed afterwards on the belt, so it's retrofitted, which is also a good use case for smart equipment manufacturers, because they cannot only build it for new machine generations, they can also retrofit their older generations. I hope that use case is clear now. So let's then go over the whole value chain of an IoT solution, because in the end you need everything. You need it from the beginning, and in the beginning you always started with the industrial equipment which you as an equipment manufacturer provide, and therefore you have to connect such equipment. In this use case it was done by the IS3 device developed by TwistSync, and then we are connecting it to our IoT platform Cumulocity. In Cumulocity we do have three main pillars, which is on the first side the device management, which is necessary for getting the condition of the device, for updating software or firmware versions of the device, and also see what's then the actual state of the device. Second one is to make use out of this data, to use the data for other use cases or for consolidating the data and condensing the data. And then, of course, the third main pillar of Cumulocity is the streaming analytics part, where you can then design rules, alarms for your field technicians, for the domain experts on your line, which then best know the process which they are working on. And this is what we provide as Cumulocity: the device management, the IoT data management, and also the analytics part. But as you all know, we need more than just devices, the software platform. We also need the solutions in the end. And this is the third pillar. And there also our partner TwistSync came in place, because they were designing the whole solution for our customer TwistSync. So they started with the first part, the research and discovery part. So they were looking into the project, what is needed, how do I connect my conveyor belts, and of course, how could the whole solution design look like? So how is Cumulocity fitting in this interplay, and how do we then install the devices on the site? Then they were also building the prototype, and they were also doing the whole testing in the end to then getting the best feedback and bringing it back in the development chain again. And in the end, they were doing the production and the launch of these i3 devices, which are then installed on site on those conveyor belts to leverage the efficiency. And all this was done in 4 months. And that's only possible because of this strong partner interplay between Cumulocity, TwistSync, and AWS. And that's how we then also bring AWS in this whole chain. Because we are not only our IoT platform, which is the best IoT platform for smart equipment, where we then offer all the 3 main pillars, as I just said, but we are also using advanced services from AWS, because in the beginning it's always connecting the devices, getting the data out of the devices, and then consolidating the data to make a higher use case, for example, for training machine learning models, or also for making usage of AI. In this case, Flexco, together with TwistSync, they were also using then the analytics parts of AWS QuickSight, and they also were making use of the data lake for some historical data analysis to get better information about how the elevators were working in the past, to get more knowledge on that. With that, we were really working on real results, and we had a real impact. So there are 3 main steps. So the first one is we had a better knowledge about the spare part management for those conveyor belts, replacing the plates. As I said, you saw the plates which are cleaning up the belt after each cycle. So we had a better understanding how often should we replace those plates. And by a better efficient way of replacing the plates and getting aware of when something is breaking, we were saving up to $100,000 each month, just because we had a better knowledge of how the plates should be replaced and in which cycle they should be replaced. Second one, we were saving huge amount of labor costs, because nobody had to go to the plate again or to the conveyor belt, had to clean it manually. And of course, they were not in charge of putting back the material, the sand or stones on the conveyor belt. And therefore, we were saving a huge amount of costs for all the workforce on the site. And instead, we could make use of them on another activities, which is then, of course, always good if you're short of labor. And the third one is we could offer predictive maintenance for those conveyor belts, and we could better plan it when something has to be repaired, and of course when something has to be replaced on the conveyor belt. So in total, there are huge savings for Flexco. And we help them to digitize their production, their conveyor belts, together with TwistSync and the developed i3 device, which is then showing in a nice way the whole value chain. You need the device, you need the sensor on the device, which is then always connected on a gateway, you need the IoT platform, and then you need the solution. And everything together is then bringing the value to the customer, which is then, of course, what they are looking for an IoT platform. And with Cumulocity, this could be done really quick. So I'm talking a lot to customers in the first stages when we're talking about the use cases, how should we then start our journey on IoT, and there's also a clear advice from my side. So even if you're not thinking about advanced use cases in the beginning, if you're not thinking about assets as a service or equipment as a service in the future, but do not develop an IoT platform just because of one use case. Look about each use case and then choose the best IoT platform in the market, which is robust, which is scalable, and of course, which you can then use in different regions of the world. So a really enterprise-grade IoT platform, which we are providing as Cumulocity. And there the first use case is always remote monitoring, connecting the equipment. That's the base layer. And after that, you are getting out the data out of the machine, out of the equipment, and then you can enable smart field services. You can send out your field stuff only when it is needed. So for example, two customers of us, Enercon or Nordex, they're managing the whole wind turbine fleet via Cumulocity, and then they're really aware of when something happens on the wind turbine, and they can then act on just when something happens on the machine. Another use case is Schindler, for example, elevators. So they are managing their fleet of elevators with Cumulocity, and then they get aware when they have to send out their field technicians. For example, they are doing software and firmware updates for elevators globally, and by that they are saving a huge amount of money because they do not have to do it manually. They do not have to go to the machine, to the elevator, to the turbine, or to the conveyor belt, put in a USB stick to update the software. And even if you're thinking about the future, we do not do it in cycles of 1 year. So this will be even more frequently in the future, and therefore it's saving more and more money in the future. If we are turning up the smart field services, we are getting machines which are then used more often. We are increasing the performance of the machine. And that's also the third use case. With some customers, we do talk about equipment as a service, which is then, of course, for some customers, just a North Star. Where do we want to go to? But of course, the base layer is always connecting the machine. And once you have connected and you know how the machine is used, you can offer such services in the future. So you do not have to sell the machine, you only sell the output. And therefore, you need an IoT platform, and you need an IoT platform which is enabling you to start quick, to be fast to market, and to not use the time before 1 or 2 or 3 years with just developing the IoT platform, but to be really fast in the market, and then work on the use cases which are essential, which are really necessary for your customers. This is just an example of our customers. So I've talked about some customers in different scenarios. So we are in diverse industries. Our main focus is the industrial manufacturing space, and there the connected products. And there we are really the original IoT platform. With that, we do serve a lot of customers in various installations. So for example, Hilti is managing their fleet of power tools, 8 million devices with Cumulocity. And this is also showing how scalable our platform is. So it's not a platform which is only for a few devices for one use case. It's for multiple use cases and with a really large scalable fleet of devices. And you can also do it just sending an update once or once a day, just to keep a live signal, which is then, for example, necessary for smart metering. Or you can even do it on real time, which is then, for example, used as Dürr is using it for their paint robots on their paint streets for automotive industry, which are then measuring the paint robots in real time. So smart connected products are on the rise. So we can see it if we're going around the halls, we can see a lot of manufacturers of equipment which do have really technically products, highly optimized products. But a lot of these products are not yet connected. And I always ask why? Why that's the case? Because if you want to start this journey of digitalizing, of offering services in the future which are really advanced, or if you even want to go into new use cases, you need to connect your products now to be able to be in the position in 5 or in 10 years to offer new business cases or to offer new services to your own staff, or even to dealers, or even to service technicians or service providers which are then working with you. And therefore the question is, what about your product? And if you have any further question, so as said, so we have a booth over there, Cumulocity. We just had a big new rebranding of Cumulocity, a relaunch. And we can show there different scenarios with partners which are on the booth, on field services, on software updates, but also on how we do device management. And therefore I would be happy to welcome you there, to have a coffee together and to go into the discussion on how we can then work on your solution with the whole value chain. The device, the software platform, and the solution provider. Thank you very much.